Hi, I'm Eric Colburn from EricColburn.com, and welcome to the Survey Party. Now, if you've ever been out on a field crew and you had one of those signs that said Survey Party ahead, you know what I'm talking about. You get bothered all day long with people wanting to know. Very smart people. They think they're the first ones that ever thought of this. They want to know where the Survey Party is. So, anyways, got a lot of things to go over with you in today's show, so let's get going. So, first thing, a little bit of an announcement is that I'm getting the audio podcast back up and running again. And what got me motivated to do that was the Motivational Monday videos. A viewer of those videos asked me if I had a podcast, audio podcast version of that. And I hadn't done an audio podcast in a while, and he said he really looked forward to them and missed them. So I'm starting those up again, starting the Professional Land Surveyor Podcast up again. In the process, I have it actually all set up, and it's running on the website at EricColburn.com. You can click on the link at the top of the page for podcast. But I had it set up in iTunes, and I was fiddling around with the feed for that, and I've done something wrong, and I've made Apple mad at me, and it's not working 100%, but I'll get that up and running soon. So if you're a person that likes to listen to the podcast, they'll be available soon. And what I'm doing is I'm starting off with taking the content that was already out there for the Motivational Monday and turning those into the audio versions. And because of that, I want to get on the same cycle again of when I'm doing those videos, which I put out on Monday. So I skipped a few Mondays, but as soon as I get caught up with the audio version of those Motivational Monday videos, then we'll be good to go, and we'll be back on track with a release on Mondays of both the audio and the video versions of the Motivational Monday series. So that's a little bit of good news. So let's move on to user comments. So on the YouTube AutoCAD Civil 3D Paste Surfaces video, I got a couple of messages in the last week and a half. Ali said, "Thank you, sir. Very nice and useful video." Well, Ali, thank you for watching. And Dan, and this one made me feel really good. I'm glad I can help, to this extent. Dan said, "I'm at work, 10:40 p.m. trying to finish up a mass excavation plan. Without this video, I wouldn't have finished it. Thank you." So, Dan, glad I could help you out. There's nothing worse than burning that midnight oil, and you just get more frustrated because you just can't figure something out. And if there's something that I can help you out with an AutoCAD Civil 3D issue, I provide training and consulting, and you can go to the site and fill out an AutoCAD Civil 3D 911 submission, or send me an email at ecolburn@ericcolburn.com. If you're on YouTube and you follow my channel, you can send, or just send me a message on YouTube. That's fine. Also on Twitter, you can send me a message there, a direct message if you'd like, and we'll follow up on that. And then the second video, which has been I put this video out, I think, out about a year ago, and it just has been done an incredible amount of traffic. The AutoCAD Civil 3D 2013 Guts Google Earth video. Excuse me, coffee break. A little bit of a sore throat today, trying to keep the scratchiness to a minimum. So, if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. But very simply, it's just that without much announcement, Autodesk took out the functionality of Google Earth in Civil 3D in 2013, so that you cannot import the pictures and the surfaces the way you could before. And a lot of people were shocked by this because they had built some work processes around that and had grown accustomed to using it. So anyways, Bob said, "Thank you. I thought this was something I just had not found in the new 2013 version. And yes, I use Google Earth with AutoCAD, but mostly to export my line work out to Google." So another person, again, it's been, I think it's been a year. I think I put that video out in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, it'll be a year. And I've gotten a lot of messages on the side, people contacting me about that. it just something they did not expect Autodesk to drop, and perhaps, you know, when you're paying that much money for a piece of what's supposed to be premier software, that you would have expected to have gotten a little bit of notice that was not going to be a feature in the next release of Civil 3D. So the other thing is, I just heard, I don't know if this is true, I saw it in an email, I quickly read it. I believe that in the new release of AutoCAD Civil 3D 2014, that there will be Bing integration built in, similar, I think, to what the Google Earth integration was. So I'll do a little research on that, and I'll get back to you in the next time we talk, and maybe I'll have a little more information about that. So a little bit of good news there, get some of that ability back that was lost for a year. And so yeah, let's move on to, which I thought was interesting, was I put out a poll or a survey on LinkedIn and on the website, and it was, would you recommend land surveying as a career choice for your children or other close relatives? And got a lot of response on this, particularly on LinkedIn. If you're not a member of the group, go to LinkedIn and just look for, you go through my profile, but look for the Professional Land Surveyor group on LinkedIn. We're over 4,500 members now. I think we're pretty close to 4,600, and it's growing. And some really good professional land surveyor interaction there too. And so, anyways, I was kind of baiting the question a little, because I you know, not would you recommend it to anybody that wanted to take land surveying as a career, but to your own family members, right? And so sometimes there's those things where we might say something's good or bad, but when we're recommending it to a family member, maybe we're a little more honest about it. And I'm happy to report that for the most part, very positive response. So I just checked on it a minute ago, and the yes to no's is 58% to 42%. So, you know, almost 60% of the respondents to the survey voted that they would recommend it to a relative that was looking to get into land surveying or geomatics as a career. I thought that was great. I think, you know, a lot of the negatives, I think if you look at some of the, if you go to, I'll put a link in the show notes to that poll, and if you go to that poll on LinkedIn, you'll see that the negative responses, I think, are mostly tied to the current negative economic conditions, right? And that's to be expected. And I think that's, my vote was no, right? But my vote, again, I baited the question. My vote is no, conditionally on, I definitely, you know, if one of my sons wanted to go into this as a profession, or another family member that I know, I would say, sure, it's a, you know, it's a great career, but, right, don't do it the way I did it, right? I think you should go to college. You should learn some other things. Certainly business skills, management skills are important. And so I think it is a good and viable career. I think right now, obviously, we are, you know, in the midst, or ending, I should say, not in the midst, thankfully, we're ending, you know, one of the worst economic periods we've had since the Great Depression. And so it's, and largely because of the housing, right, economy, it just was lost with the crash of the housing market. So really, you know, you have to expect that, you know, the surveying industry was going to take a hit over the last few years. So hopefully, as things come back, and in the last few months, we've had some good reports on housing, right, and the employment situation is improving. There's more people being employed every month, and that seems to be making a dent. Consumer confidence is up, so some good news there. So anyways, if you took the poll, I want to thank you. If you haven't, go to the group. Please cast your vote now. It's would you recommend land surveying as a career choice for your children or other close relatives? So next, I want to talk about a viewer question. If you have a question, then please, you know, submit it. There are contact forms on ericcolburn.com. You can send me an email at ecolburn@ericcolburn.com, or you can leave a voice message, which I can record, and I'll play your recorded message at 401-484-0757. That's 401-484-0PLS. Go ahead, leave your comments there. We'll put them right on the podcast, and be glad to hear it. But in this case, I was consulting for a company a little over a week ago, and they were having some issues with Civil 3D. And so the first thing I asked them is, because I have to work with them to figure out their problem, is what version of AutoCAD Civil 3D are you using? And they were actually using two versions. They were using an older version. I think they were using 2010, but some of them were using 2011 or 12. I forget. But a little bit of both, And so really, backwards compatibility is a problem, particularly if you're trying to work with these companies to fix their problems. But in the course of fixing their issue, which was not significant, and was happy that I could help them out, the owner asked me, he said, well, I am, and this always surprises me because I talk to a lot of land surveyors that have AutoCAD Civil 3D, are on the subscription program, but don't upgrade on a regular basis. They either wait, a year or two. Now, a lot of the bigger companies with IT departments like to wait a year, right? They want to make sure that all the bugs are out of the system before they do a mass implementation into their organization. And I understand that to a point. I think, however, that Civil 3D, for all that's good or bad about it, has come a long way since the earlier releases, 2000, 4 or 5, was it a 4 or 5 that they started with? I forget now. Up to 2008 or 9, there were a lot of problems with the program. The software was not, to me, something that they should have released to the mass market. To me, it was still sort of in beta phase. But since then, every year I found it's just gotten better and better to work with. Excuse me for 1 minute, another coffee break. So, he asked me, should I be doing the automatic or not automatic, but should I be upgrading every year to the latest version as, I paid for with my subscription plan? So my answer is yes, okay? I think you should do that. I think if you're a bigger company with a larger installation and you have somebody that's an IT manager that keeps track of all of that, then there are probably reasons to roll it out a little more slowly, and you can talk to them and they can speak to that better than I can. But I think if you're a smaller outfit and you want to reap the best benefits for the money that you're paying into it, I say upgrade nearly automatic. There goes the word automatically again, right? Nearly immediately when it's available, because you just get the best bang for your buck. Now, I say nearly because I will say that I've had a couple of very small instances where I've seen what I don't consider to be major issues that cropped up if you downloaded the upgrade right away. So probably within 2 to 4 weeks, if there's something major that's not quite right, there's a bug in the works, they'll figure that out and they'll have an update or a bug fix for that within a few weeks. So again, and the things that I saw were nothing significant. I can remember one instance where the survey database information on least squares closures, it was doing the math correctly. Everything was correct, but it wasn't reporting a couple of numbers correctly in the report. So, minor little things like that to be aware of that maybe you want to wait. But I'll be honest with you, I think for the last 3-4 releases, I've not had a problem updating immediately. And again, the other caveat is that because they change the file types every once in a while, make a complete backup of all your survey projects before you do that upgrade. So I think those are the only things that I would recommend, is maybe wait a few weeks before you do your upgrade, and then before you do that, make a complete backup of all your projects. Because here's the thing, even if the new release works 100%, it's great, you're in production, right? You're trying to get surveys and engineering projects out the door, and you can't afford to be hung up. Let's just be honest about it, right? You just can't afford that. So there have been times where, and I can think about the first time I was on subscription and I upgraded, and I didn't create a complete backup of all my projects. So I did that upgrade, and then I had some project. I was trying to figure out some of the new things in the newer version of Civil 3D, and I had a project that I had to get done. So I just wanted to go back to the prior release, open up those drawings, which I could still do, and start working on them. But between the upgrades and the software and what it upgrades on your computer system and some of the file changes, I couldn't do it. And so it wasn't a big deal. I just had to really, dig into the new release and figure out a few things and get going. But later than that, in some of the latest versions, a year or two ago, they did a complete upgrade on the type of file systems for the survey databases and the drawings. So you want to make sure you have some backup copies just in case you need to work in the older version for a little bit. You'll have that available to you. So those are the things I recommend that. So, if you were wondering about that, or you want to know how that might work with your company on the upgrade to any version, and it's funny, because they were running some what I would consider some really old versions, and I come across that a lot. Then certainly, if you're on an older version than the 1-year-old version, move up to the 1-year-old version. You'll see great improvements and enhancements there. And I do recommend greatly AutoCAD Civil 3D 2013 version, because I've been using that now. Well, it's a year now, right? So I thought that was a great improvement over the past, which wasn't 12 wasn't bad, I didn't think, but it just keeps getting better and better. But if you have any questions about what version you should be upgrading to, or how to do that, and what are the best practices for doing the upgrade, give me a call or contact me, and we can discuss how that will work best in your company, in your organization. Okay, so last, I just want to let you know that today we're introducing a new course, sort of a workshop over 12 weeks called Field Surveyor Party Chief Training Course, and it's $7.95, but for a limited time I'm going to reduce it to $6.95. And what we'll be doing is there'll be 12 weeks of actionable training and advice, lessons and homework. This will all be delivered to you via email. I will also be putting it on the website, and there will be a special private community group for premium members, which is only $19 a month more if you're interested in that. And we'll go into maybe a little greater detail there. But anyways, it's 12 weeks of actionable training, advice, and lessons, and some homework for you to do. But you can do it at your leisure whenever you're ready to do it. There'll be a bunch of videos that I'll create that go along with the content. We'll do some live interactive sessions where we can, you can ask questions and I can answer those questions, or we can work through some of the problems that you're having. And I set this up with kind of two user groups in mind. Is that field personnel that is trying to move up and become a party chief, and secondly, maybe the party chief that's been a party chief for a while, but is either wants to upgrade their skills a little, or they've been out of the job market for a little. So maybe this would be a good refresher course to kind of get them up to speed a little more. So as part of this too, what we'll do is we'll do a resume feedback and review. So you can send me your resume in this course, and we'll do a couple things. We'll edit it, right, for grammar, spelling, completeness, and then we'll give you some tips as to maybe how we think you can improve it. But there's nothing worse than looking for a job and sending out a resume and then finding out that there's some really glaring error in it, and I've done that before. Oh, I plead guilty on that. I was, I've been embarrassed by that. I had a very old resume, probably my first resume I ever had, and it was just hanging around in a file. And I happened to look at it a couple of years ago, and the first thing I looked at it, near the top of the page was a misspelling. That's just terrible, and I don't want that to happen to you. So we'll be looking over your resume, seeing how you can improve it, making sure that at least it's the spelling is correct and it's grammatically correct. And then we'll also have, what I call nearly unlimited email access between us, and whatever questions or problems you're having, we'll work through, and you and I can figure out how to best overcome those issues. So there'll be a blog post announcing it shortly, but the product is already online. If you visit ericcolburn.com/store and look at the bottom, near the bottom of the store, products is training. Click on that and you can get to it. It's also in the sidebar on any page on the website too. And then lastly on that was something that after I published put out that course today, was I was thinking that I will do a bonus week on solo surveying, because I think there are whole new challenges out there for those of you that are working as a solo surveyor, right? You don't have a field crew, you are the field crew, and I've been doing that for a few years now, so I'll be adding my kind of tips and tricks for that. And I think this will be a really great course for you to improve your skills or learn some new skills, and hopefully get you to move up that career ladder if you're working in the field and you want to take that next step to become a party chief. So anyways, that's I think all I have today. Thank you for joining me, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit ericcolburn.com for additional land surveying and AutoCAD Civil 3D information. And keep an eye out, or an ear out, for the audio podcast that'll be coming out soon. And I think within a week or two we'll have the Motivational Monday videos back on track on Mondays. I want to thank you, and I look forward to your comments. Please, again, you can leave an audio comment at 401-484-0757. You can fill out any one of the contact forms on my site, ericcolburn.com, or you can shoot me an email at ecolburn, that's ECOLBURN, at ericcolburn.com. Thank you, work smart, and be brilliant.